I feel that the Celtics have shown some growth or that they have evolved. So we're going to start off talking Celtics. And in a vacuum, an 18-point win over a Sixers team without their best player isn't really worth discussing, except how they won, which I do think is significant and does have me taking them even more seriously than I was before. I agree. It was one of their best games of the year.
Shows that they're adaptable, and I had questions about that.
And Joe Mazzulla says it was one of the best games of the year. Do you know who disagrees with that, Murray?
The man to my right.
Guess.
One Anthony Mazzarati.
Mazz, who's been asking them to go inside, asking them to play two-point basketball, asking them to do all those things. Then they do it, and he still has a problem. What's your problem?
Not good enough. Not good enough. You do realize it was a 91-89 game with less than 9 minutes to go.
So?
Okay, so that doesn't count when you're playing an inferior opponent without its best player at home?
Our game's 39 minutes now.
That's not the point. The point is that game never should have been close last night. That game never should have been close.
Did you ever feel the Celtics were going to lose it?
I started to have my doubts in the second half a little bit when it got back to 91-89. So look, I understand what you're saying. And yes, they had to win the game a different way last night. It took them way too long to figure it out and actually execute it. So again, it was 91-89 with fewer than 9 minutes to go.
And at that moment, I'm sorry to cut you off, but again, to what Mike said, did you feel like, ooh, oh God, here come the Sixers? You felt that way?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, come on.
No, I didn't feel like, here come the Sixers. I felt like, boy, the Celtics are playing stupid. And it wasn't about the fact of going inside or shooting the threes. In terms of the approach of going inside, how'd you feel like they executed it? With 13 turnovers in the first three quarters.
Oh, no. So, yeah, again, they came out sloppy and somewhat disinterested. I would agree with you if you wanted to say that about them early on. They looked sloppy early on. They weren't taking the Sixers seriously.
But I would argue that the reason they turned the ball over 13 times, and again, it's 14 overall, but in the last 9 minutes, they only turned the ball over once. So I would argue the reason they turned the ball over 13 times is because Philly was forcing them to the perimeter, playing out there. In fact, I put an image on my Twitter account today of what it looked like on the floor in the second half, where Philly literally had guys spread out around the three-point arc, and the entire middle of the floor was open. And you know what the Celtics tried to do when Philly did that over and over again in this game? Dribble by guys and turn it over. 13 times. So now, late in the game, they started to figure it out, and guys started to cut to the basket a little bit more, and they would get a bucket that way. So now, all of a sudden, guys had no choice but to turn. And you see, I know Vinny in our simulclass is getting ready to put the image up now. There's this huge hole in the middle of the floor. So I would say that, yes, they were making the right choice, but they didn't exactly execute it well. And tell me, who does Philly have on that roster other than Tyrese Maxey right now that makes you go, ooh, the Celtics are going to have a tough game tonight?
Nobody.
0. 91-89 with just under 9 minutes to go. Then they put together a run. Otherwise, it was, I don't want to call it nip and tuck the whole way because they opened it up a little bit in the third quarter. Am I glad that they got this kind of game? Yeah. If they play Denver or they play the Clippers or they play Miami, you may not get the same result because they have more firepower and they play better on the other end of the floor than Philly does. So that's my concern.
Here's just what I saw. It was 3 weeks ago, the Celtics played the Lakers at home. The Lakers were without Anthony Davis or LeBron, but Anthony Davis most particularly. And the Celtics launched 48 three-point attempts. 48 against a team without a center. With, again, probably the middle of the court in the lane wide open. And they just kept hucking threes. And we said, well, that's what's going to do them in because they can't play another way. And now the last couple of games, they've played another way. You talked about that Knicks game. They pounded the crap out of them inside. Mm-hmm. Last night, season low in three-point attempts, season low in three-point makes. And they won going away. I'm sorry. That's good news for the Celtics.
Yeah, again, the decision-making was better. The decision-making. The execution is still lacking.
Well, it's until they flipped the switch late, and then they knew how to attack it better. And I also would commend them on their defense, too, which I thought was lax early on. And then there was like a 5-minute stretch where the 76ers couldn't even throw it into the ocean if they wanted to. And I don't think that was just bad shooting. It was also good defense.
To me, it's just a sign of growth.
If you're playing, I need to see it over and over again before it's a sign of growth.
Absolutely, they could execute better, but at least they're acknowledging that there's another way to win and trying to win that way, which is something I didn't know they had in them, and they weren't doing earlier in the season or maybe for any of the last 5 years, Mazz.
Do you think that they would have beaten a championship caliber team with the way they executed it last night?
The way they executed it, no.
Okay.
But what they tried to do, yes, that's how they're going to have to win.
Again,
because if they think they're going to 3-point shoot their way to the championship, I think they're mistaken.
Yeah, and if they play the same way as they did last night and execute it the same way against good competition, they'll lose.
I love it.
And my point is this. My point is not, I don't have a problem with the approach. The approach is right. They're not good enough at it yet. They're not good enough at it yet. We are 2/3 of the way through the freaking season. Just now they're coming to the realization that they got to shoot twos.
Hey, better late than never. That's what I would say.
Right, at least they're doing it. I didn't think that they ever really would.
They did it once.
And afterwards, I thought Joe Mazzulla was relatively normal,
they did it once.
Okay, you're talking about last night.
Yeah.
Okay. But you don't take that as a sign of them getting it?
I don't know if it's a sign yet. Right now, I would say it's a one-off.
And another piece of good news, I thought, was that Joe Mazzulla was relatively normal, relatively, by his standards. Because, again, 22 3-point attempts, only 5 makes from beyond the line. They totally got outshot in total attempts and 3-point attempts, which I know there's an analyst upstairs, like, popping zits or, like, sticking his finger in his armpits and sniffing it because he's so... the analyst upstairs doesn't know what to do because it's all about 3-point attempt rate and shot attempt rate and those sort of things. And the Celtics were outshot. They were outshot behind the line, and it makes the analysts very, very nervous. And I think Joe Mazzulla is one of these guys. So I thought last night was a chance for him to be really squirrely about the whole thing, and he wasn't. I thought by his standards again, he was relatively normal. He had an exchange with Gary Washburn. You can just start with Mazzulla 1, Jimmy.
Joe, you guys are 0 for 2 from 3 in the second quarter.
Wasn't this the opponent where you asked me if we shot too many threes, like Game 4 of the year?
Yeah, Philadelphia.
Full circle, huh? What a beautiful moment.
Yeah, life's a circle.
Life's a circle.
Next, I'm asking about Maxey's shooting.
Yes.
When you go 0 for 2, do you come to a realization that we're not going to win this game with threes? Like, is that hard to accept? Is that like
no,
you win this game with threes?
That's a good question. No, I just think every game is going to present a different challenge. And so when you're looking at that shot margin, you have to ask yourself, okay, why and how are we going to attack and defend at that level? And so I don't want to get into a box where, and we've never said we have to win doing this. That's never been stated. We always take what the defense gives us. We're one of the best teams at doing that, and that's kind of our offensive philosophy is take the best shot and find the best shot. So once it took us to about, I would say, end of the first quarter, beginning of the second, to just understand how the opponent was defending us, then we just have to make that adjustment. And we made that adjustment by taking care of the ball, going to a few different formations, and then just keeping defending at a high level. The uncomfortable thing of the game was they were shooting a very high percentage from 3. All of their shooters were, and so you're either going to get blown out as they continue to do that, or it's going to even itself out by getting the right guys to continue to shoot those, and then they miss, and then you work at the margin by taking care of the basketball at the other end.
Why'd that stand out to you, Mazz?
Because, again, why all of a sudden does 3-point rate not matter? Whoever said that we wanted to play that way? You did.
Oh, totally. So
you did.
Okay,
I don't mean you. I mean him.
I know.
Mazzulla. You did. You're the one who said it. All of a sudden now you're saying that they want to take the best shot?
Isn't that good news?
So what changed?
I don't know. I don't know. But it's changed.
Yeah, well, so someone got to him.
Okay, good.
No, it's fine because the organization themselves have been too. It's just not him. This has been an organizational thing that they've been so 3 obsessed.
Yeah,
so
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced it was an organizational thing because I see Steven said at the end of last year, "I'll take a dunk every time if they want to give it to us," and that's not what his coach was saying. So to me, that was a different message. There was a different message from Mazzulla than there was from some other people.
So you're not buying it.
Look again. I'm glad the approach changed. I'm just telling you, why weren't they doing it sooner? Why did it take so long?
I don't know.
Because they might not have enough time to get it right. That's why. Just now they're coming to the realization, if they win the championship, fine, all is well and good. We have a show to do today. So just now, all of a sudden they change it as, we never wanted to play that way. Wait a minute, that's not true.
Well, that's bull crap. I agree.
That is complete and total bull crap.
But if they're changing, isn't that good news?
I'm not sure they've changed.
Today.
I'm not sure they've changed. I'm not going to base it on one game.
Give me the follow-up, Jimmy, please.
In terms of shooting threes, Is it a situation where you're, how do I put this? Are you satisfied with 22?
Yeah, like I said, we need to be aware of how's the opponent defending us and how can we fully take advantage of that. And so, like I said, I'm not a guy I don't love threes. I love great shots. And so if 5 is going to be on KP and they're going to be in drop and we're going to have 2-on-1s for threes and we're going to shoot those. If they're going to switch and the mismatches are going to be in the post or on the perimeter for dribble drives, then we're going to shoot that. And if we drive into the paint and they don't help, we have to finish at the rim. If they drive into the paint and help and we do kick it out and we get it. So this team has really grown into taking what the defense gives you every single night and quickly getting to that, quickly getting to what that is and trying to exploit it. And that's why I'm very grateful for this game.
It's a lie.
You don't believe him?
No, I don't. Because, again, he gave it to us last year. He said point blank. Point blank, 3-point percentage. You pointed out the comment.
3-point attempt rate.
Right, 3-point attempt rate is the most important statistic in the game. Last night, their 3-point attempt rate was through the floor.
They got pummeled in 3-point attempt rate. And he said, well, that's never what we've been about. Is about taking the best shot. I agree.
So he was lying all that time because he wanted them to figure it out on their own?
I don't know if he's lying or if he's changed his mind. Whatever.
He changed his mind. Maybe.
Maybe. Hopefully. Stu, what?
They adjusted and executed for 9 minutes. And it's like, they've made this big adjustment. NBA Finals, here we come. 9 minutes. They actually executed. I'm with Mazz on this one.
Hold on. No. They were clean for 9 minutes, but they weren't hucking threes all game.
No, they went to the rim pretty much all night.
No, but my point is they executed for 9 minutes
correct.
and then blew them away.
But I'm telling
That's
you,
where I stand with Mazz on this.
Their approach was the same from the jump. How many 3-point attempts did they? I mean, Washburn said 2 3-point attempts in the third quarter. How many in the first half?
Oh, I think it was like 11. I think they had 11 each half.
Okay, so
or close to it.
The approach was the same all game.
It was.
They didn't execute it at first. Fine. But you don't take that as a good sign after you've been barking at them to go to the rim and shoot twos all season. They go to the rim and shoot twos. Now you just didn't like that they didn't go in or they turned the ball over. But don't you give them credit for the approach?
Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis went to the line 33 times combined. That's
correct.
That shows you that's a team that's trying to take advantage of the paint.
No, they did. They went to the rim. Yes, they also turned it over 13 times in the first 3 quarters.
So they're not used to it, but at least they tried it.
Because they still can't handle pressure on the perimeter. When you pressure the ball against them, again, do you have confidence in Jaylen Brown's ability to put the ball on the floor against Golden State? Well, Golden State's a bad example. The Clippers or Denver in the fourth quarter of a close game?
Certainly not. He's a turnover waiting to happen.
So this is my point.
But that's a
great.
Jaylen Brown thing.
Great. You did it against Philly. That's great. Congratulations.
The concern, too, is Holiday had 4 turnovers. And in these big games, if you look at Holiday, he's a minus player in most of them. He wasn't last night, but I still have concerns about Holiday.
Mike, how did Philly get back into the game in the fourth quarter?
They made some threes.
No. What were the Celtics doing when they had the ball?
They were shooting twos.
They were shooting threes at the beginning of the fourth quarter. They started shooting them again. Philly got back in the game.
Okay, so that's what you don't want them doing.
So why were they doing it?
I have to go back to each individual possession.
So let's let them back
their
into the
nature.
game, and then we'll start playing again? It's a lackadaisical approach. Philly never should have been back in this game. Never.
They've won 9 straight.
You guys are too easy on it.
They've won 9 straight.
I stand with Mazz.
The coach said, and in this case, most everyone agrees, it was one of their best games of the year. It was a positive sign in terms of their approach. Most everyone agrees, except for 2 people.
Me.
Guess who they are?
Who's the second one?
Stu.
Stu.
Mazz
I stand with Mazz.
and Stu.
I personally, no offense, Jimmy, I'm content to ride alone.
Your
Oh,
thoughts?
I'll just go bleep myself then.
No, you don't have to go bleep yourself. I like you.